Hello everyone, I'm Batpan, a bat who likes Apple. In today's video, we're gonna cover how to create a flashlight system like the one in Fathom in Unity. We'll learn how to press F to turn the flashlight on and off, how to pick it up from the ground and how to throw it. Plus, we'll add that smooth camera movement with the flashlight, just like in the game. This video is part of a series covering various tips and tricks, and it will also be featured in a playlist dedicated to Fathom functionalities in Unity. If you're interested, you can check out my retro horror game called Fractured Psyche with a link in the description. All the files used in this video are available on my GitHub. You can actually get to it again with a link in the description. With all that being said, let's put on the mask and begin. Okay, right now we have a scene here. In our scene, we have a flashlight. We have an FPS control from the Unity standard assets. We're gonna first set up the things in the editor part. Then I'm gonna, cover some more stuff. What we need in the editor is we need the FPS controller. If you don't have it, I'll leave a link in the description. You guys can actually get to it. We also have a flashlight. You can download any flashlight models. Our flashlight has this spotlight on it. When I enable the light on it, it's gonna get activated, but by default the light is off. By default we don't have the flashlight. It is, for example, dropped here, and when I press left mouse on it, I'm gonna take the flashlight. So when I take the flashlight, my flashlight is gonna be like right here. So how to create this? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make it a child of this health point, which is like right here. My health point is like right here, so I make it a child of the health point, and when I put its transform at 0 0 0, it's going to be exactly on the exact position of the parent, which is the health point. To set up the health point is actually an empty object, so I'm going to remove it. So my flashlight is like right here, and I know my health point should be like right here. You're going to move your flashlight until you're satisfied. Here is okay for me. I'm satisfied with it. I'm going to, put an empty object in the exact spot of this flashlight. One way you can do is you can just create an empty object and, just move it until you're on the camera, or copy this transform of it. So you can right click on transform, copy position, and go to your empty game object, paste component, and it is now at the exact position of the camera. And another way you can do is you can right click on your camera and create an empty object as a child of that camera. Right now our empty object is at the exact same spot as our camera, and I'm gonna call it held point, and I'm gonna make it a child of nothing at the moment. So now held point is not a child of the camera, and now I'm gonna make it a child of the actual camera. I'm sorry, I said I made it a child of the camera. I made it actually a child of the flashlight, to be exactly put on the position of the flashlight. So we make it a child of nothing, and right now it is at the exact spot of the flashlight. Then I make it a child of the camera. Now I'm gonna move my flashlight until it is like right here is fine, I guess. So for the flashlight, we need to give it some stuff. So our flashlight needs a rigid body, so when we throw it, it's gonna drop, and when we take it, we just deactivate the rigid body. And we also need a collider to interact with it. It doesn't go through the ground, so we need to give it a rigid body at first. So rigid body is okay. I say it's kinematic, and I don't want to use gravity right now, and I'm gonna give it a mass of like 5 is okay, I guess. You can give it anything you want. We'll test it. Then we need to give it a box collider, and I want my box collider to cover the whole flashlight. So I click on this and I drag it, and I'll hold Alt, so both of the sides increase. I'm satisfied. Now I have this box collider around it, so my flashlight is done. We need to give it a tag. So in our interaction system, we say we can only pick up the flashlight and not other stuff. So we need to go to this tag section, select your flashlight, go to this tag section, go to add tag, and just give it a tag of flashlight. Right now I already have it. Be careful, the capital and the small versions of the letter matter. You exactly have to write this thing inside your script. So now again, select your flashlight and go to this tag section and just give it the tag you just created. So that is for the editor part. Now we can go ahead and create the scripts. So the first script I'm going to create is the flashlight turning on and off. I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call it scripts. Inside it, I'm going to create a new C# script. I'm going to call it Fathom flashlight, which is in short is FL, and I'm going to call it on off flashlight on off. You can name it whatever you want. I just named it this. Double click to open it up. So inside here we need a boolean. So private boolean flashlight is on, which is equal to false, because our flashlight is false and is not on at the start. Then we need to create a reference to our flashlight. So I'm just gonna say serialized field private light and I'm gonna call it flashlight. And we have a reference to our flashlight. We just give it here. We just give our spotlight that we created here, flashlight.enable false. So this flashlight is on is exactly like this flashlight that enabled equal to false. So it is false now. Inside board update, I'm gonna say if I press F, so if input dot get key down key code dot F. So if I press F, I'm gonna say flashlight is on equal to flashlight is on negative. So if it is on, we make it off. If it is off, we make it on. This way, we just change the boolean. And what we're gonna say down here is, we're gonna say if our flashlight is on is equal to true, we just flashlight.enable true. Else, flashlight.enabled equal to false. We're just gonna say change the boolean to the other state. If it is true, make it false. If it is false, make it true. Then we're gonna say if the boolean is true, we just activate it. If it is false, we just deactivate it, and that is it. You can just change the states. So right now I'm gonna select my camera and I'm gonna drag and drop the script I just created. It needs a reference to the light. I just give it the spotlight from this flashlight, and by default it is gonna automatically turn it off. So as you see, I start the game. It is off, and I press F, it turns on, F off, F on and off. We'll also need a sound for turning the flashlight on and off. So I'm just gonna create an empty object. I'm gonna call it audio flashlight, and I'm gonna give it an audio source. I'm gonna deactivate this play on awake, and I'm gonna give it this flashlight clicking audio. As you see, so I just gave it there, and inside my script I'm gonna need another reference to an audio source, serialized field private audio source. I'm gonna call it flash sound, and I write down here, since I have only one audio, when I press F, I'm gonna play that audio. I'm gonna say flash sound dot play, and it's gonna play the flash sound. Now in the script it needs a reference to the flash audio source. You just give it that audio source, and let's check it out again. You see. So right now we're done with that script. Let's go ahead and create the interaction script, taking the object and activating or throwing it. So for that script, I'm gonna create a new script. I'm gonna call it first the Fathom FL flashlight, and then I'm gonna call it take throw FL flashlight. So the script I'm gonna write right now is a script that I created in my previous videos, the take and throw function from the game First Fathom in Unity. You can click on top of your screen right now to get to it, or you can actually get to the link in the description. Yeah, in that video I explained a lot more about this function, but we need only some stuff of that function, so I'm just gonna cover the parts we need from that video. But if you want to better understand it, you can actually watch that video. Up here we need a private boolean for can interact, which is equal to true at the start, to check if we can actually interact or not. Then we need a serialized field private transform, which is called help point, which is exactly the help point we created, the empty object. We need to give it transform. Then we need a serialized field float for throw force, which by default I'm going to make it equal to 10. You can change the value of the throw force. Then I need a private game object. I'm going to call it held object. And I also need a private rigid body. I'm gonna call it held RB. That is everything I need. I'll add two more things in the upcoming minutes. Now I need to go inside void update and check if I can interact or not. So if I can interact, I go ahead and interact. So I just say if can interact, which actually means like if can interact is equal to true. It doesn't matter, it is the same. So I'm just gonna say if can interact. If you can interact, we go ahead and say, we go ahead and check if we have any object in our hand or not. So we say if held object is equal to null. So if our transform is equal to null, and if we don't have any object in our hand, we go ahead and say if we press the left mouse key, so get mouse button down 0. So if we press the left mouse, so if we can interact and we don't have any object in our hand, and when we press the left mouse, we go ahead and we shoot an invisible thing called ray, which is equal to camera.main.viewport point to ray new vector 0.5f 0.5f and 0 raycast hit. So I'm going to explain this to you guys as I explained it a lot in my previous videos. So what it does is when I press the left mouse key, it's going to shoot an invisible thing, an invisible laser, camera's center position, and it's going to shoot that ray from that position. It's going to hit something. If it hits something, that hit thing will be actually put inside this raycast hit. We're going to first check if the invisible laser we shot hit anything. So if physics.raycast in a distance of like, for example, 5. What we're saying is if the ray we shot actually hits anything in a distance of 5, then we're gonna say if the thing it hit had the tag of flashlight. It has to be exactly the same thing as your tag. The capital and the small versions of the letter matter, so be careful. So what it does is it's gonna check if we can interact or not. If we can, it goes inside and checks if we have any object in our hand or not. If we do not have any object in our hand and we press the left mouse key, it's gonna shoot an invisible laser and it checks if it actually hits something in a distance of 5. If it does, then it's gonna check if the thing that it hit has a tag of flashlight. If it actually did, then we can go ahead and just pick up the object. Picking up the object is actually very easy. I'm explaining it to you guys. So first we're gonna say held object is no longer equal to null because it is equal to hit.collider.gameObject. So right now the thing we hit, the flashlight, is equal to our held object. Then held RB, the rigid body, is equal to held object that get component rigid body. Then we're gonna take the rigid body of that camera. Down here we're just gonna say held object dot transform set parent. Its parent is right now the held point. So we first make it a child of the held point, then we reset its position and rotation so it is exactly at the spot of the held point. So we have to reset its position and rotation. Held object dot transform that local position equal to vector 3.0 and held object dot transform that local rotation is equal to quaternion.identity, which is just like, you know, selecting your object and make its rotation 0, 0, 0 and also the position 0, 0, 0. Then we go to its rigid body and we say held RB that use gravity equal to false. So when we take it, we don't want to use the gravity and we want to, you know, make it a static. So is kinematic equal to true. So when we take the flashlight, we no longer want to drop it, so we make it, you know, stuck in our hand. So now we're done with picking up. So if we can interact and we have an object in our hand, what do we want to do then? We want to say if we press G, we want to, you know, drop the flashlight. Right now you're going to say down of if held object is equal to null. So we say you go down of it, you find it here. So if held object is equal to null, we say else. Else is like saying if we have an object in our hand. So we say if we have an object in our hand, we can go ahead and throw it. So first we're gonna check if you press G. So we say if input.get key down key code.g. So if we press G, we go ahead and throw the object in our hand, which is the camera right now. So for throwing, we're just gonna say held object dot transform that set parent is equal to null. We make its transform equal to null, so it is no longer connected to the player's camera. So when we throw it, it doesn't have weird movements. So if we make it a child of nothing, then we say held RB dot use gravity equal to true. So the gravity actually affects it and it drops. Also held RB that is kinematic equal to false. So it is not stuck and it moves. Then we say held RB. So we give it a force. So we throw it. To throw it, we're just gonna say dot add force. And we're gonna, you know, throw it in the direction the camera is looking at. So camera dot main dot transform dot forward times the throw force. So we're gonna give it the force of the throw force. Then the mode of the force is gonna be force mode dot impulse, and that is how you throw the object in that direction. Then you're just gonna say held object is equal to null right now because the object has been thrown and our hand is actually empty right now, and our held RB is actually equal to null. So we can again take it. Now we just created a function for taking the object and throwing it. We can go ahead and check it out. Let's check this section out. So you're gonna give the script to your camera. So select your camera and, you know, just give your script to it. It needs a held point. We have the held point. We just give it the held point, and that is exactly what we need. So as you see, we take the object, we activate it, and we drop it. There is one more thing that I said, that was the camera's movement, the flashlight movement. That was a little bit different than the cameras. Right now it actually moves exactly like the camera. We can add that. If you guys don't want to add that, you're completely right, isn't it like necessary? But I'm gonna cover it in this video. So I'm gonna create a new script that is gonna control the camera's movement. So I'm just gonna call it first the Fathom FL cam hors, which is equal to horizontal movement. You can name it whatever you want. My naming is not actually that good. So I'm gonna open this code. So the things we need are public float sense, which is equal to 2f, the movement, the speed of the camera's movement. Public float max left rotation, which is by default like 10 in my case, and a public float max right rotation, which is 50 in my case. I made it public so you can actually, you know, change it outside of the code. Then I need a private float current which is equal to this private float start So you're gonna see what I'm gonna use each of them for. So inside your void start, you're gonna take the current rotation and you're gonna put it in there. So you're just gonna say start which is equal to transform dot local Euler angles dot y. Then you're just gonna say current equal to 0f, and that's how give it the rotation of 0. Then inside void update, what you're gonna do is you're gonna get the horizontal mouse input. So we're just gonna say we're gonna create a float. I'm gonna call it mouse x, which is equal to input dot get axis. Be careful, the naming should be exactly the same thing. Capital M space and x, mouse x times sense. So it's gonna take the mouse movement's value and it's gonna put it inside the mouse x float. Then down here we're just gonna say update the movement, this current that we created. We're just gonna say current plus equal mouse x. So it's gonna update this amount. The thing we need is we want to clamp the movement of the camera to the left side and the right side of the x value, and I don't want to make it move go past that, so the camera has weird axis. So we're just gonna say current is equal to math f dot clamp, which is equal to current minus max left rotation and also comma max right rotation, and that just clamps it so it doesn't go past the left and go past the right. So now at the end we're gonna give the rotation value to it. So we're just gonna say float final and we make it equal to start plus current and now we just give it the rotation. So transform dot local rotation equal to quaternion dot Euler. That sounds weird. We're just gonna give it the 0f for the float x, give it the final for the float y, and 0f for the float z. And that is exactly it. That's exactly how it's gonna move it. So we can go ahead and check it out. I know it sounded a little bit complicated. If you don't understand it, just copy this and just paste it in your script and just give it to your flashlight. So just give it to the flashlight and now it has the value. Just give it max and right and left. The important thing is right now when you don't have the flashlight, it's gonna apply the rotation to it. As you see, it is rotating even if you don't have it, and you press F, it turns on and off. So to fix this, it is actually very easy. You're just gonna go to your take and throw function. I'm gonna create a reference up here. I'm gonna get a reference from serialized field private F2F FL cam horizontal M script. I'm gonna get a reference from that. I'm gonna say cam script. Then I need a serialized field private pierce to Fathom FL flashlight on and off. I'm gonna call it flash script. So that cam script is the movement for the flashlight. I'm gonna call it move script, which is gonna move the camera flashlight, and the flash script, which is gonna turn flashlight on and off. So at the start, these two should be deactivated because the flashlight is on the ground. So we're just gonna say reference move script dot enable false and flash script dot enable false. So when do we activate it? We activate it when we take the flashlight, pick up the flashlight. So I'm just gonna say reference and flashlight script flash script that enable true and move script that enable true, and that is it. We can just copy it and paste it inside when we drop it. So when we drop the camera, we don't want to be able to turn it off and on and just move it. So that is exactly what we need to do. Before checking it out, we have to give this values. So for this move script, you can click on this circle and find your object. You just give your objects with the script to this. You see my camera is here. I take the camera, it is looking this way. As you see, the camera moves a little according to the the flashlight moves a little according to the camera's movement. I press F, it gets activated. You see, it moves a little, but it is clamped so it doesn't go weird spaces. That is it. You can change the clamp value from here. As I told you earlier, you're gonna go to your flashlight. You can change the value from here 50 degrees to the right and 10 degrees to the left. So that was how to create the flashlight like Fierce the Fathom in Unity. I know this video has been a long video. I tried to edit it and make it as short as possible. I tried to explain everything in this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, a like would be very amazing. You can actually subscribe to see more contents like this. You can tell me any comments, any suggestions, any scenarios you have in this comment section below. I would be very happy to answer it. Thank you guys so much for all your support. You guys are amazing. Hope all the very best for you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.